Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa azwajihi wa zurriyatihi ajma'in. We continue our reading of Allama Iqbal's Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam, and we are still at the start of the first chapter, and we are looking at his conception of man, or his conception of human being. And we had talked about it a bit in the previous session, so we will continue from there. And how do we find him, that human being, in this environment, that is, in this universe? A restless being, engrossed in his ideal to the point of forgetting everything else. And what are his ideals? Obviously, the ideals are explained before. The ideal of fulfilling his mastery over nature. So his ideals to the point of forgetting everything else, capable of inflicting pain on himself in his ceaseless quest for fresh scopes of self-expression. So this is pure modernity, self-expression. Basically, this includes creativity, which includes his basic search for the mastery of everything else. And this is a modernist conception, Allama Iqbal. The only thing is, this Allama Iqbal is justifying it on Islamic basis. With all his failings, he is superior to nature. See? This superiority over nature is being justified Islamically. So, is human being is superior to nature? Let's look at this just generally before we move forward. So, is human being superior to nature? Islamically speaking, obviously. Now, human beings are part of nature in a sense. They're part of nature in the sense that they are creatures among creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in part they are material and biological being. In Aristotelian logic, which studied in Islamic seminaries as well, human beings are differentiated from other beings through their specific difference, which is rational. But according to Quran, and rationality is in Arabic translated as nutq. But in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly states that He has given nutq to every creature, everything. Even though this level of rationality is different in different creatures, so that's not what makes human beings different from other creatures. And basically, as creatures, human beings are the same as everything else. Obviously there are different type of creatures, but that's not what makes them different in their essence, because essence of human being is not rationality. Essence of human being is the fact that they are creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the essence of everything, and in that human beings are no different from other beings. That's the basic Quranic conception, basic Islamic conception. So as against Aristotelian logic, the essence of human being is not rationality. Their essence is they're being creatures. And this essence they share with everything else, everything in the universe except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what makes us one with everything else in the universe. That's our basic bondship and basic bonding and companionship with everything else in the universe. That we are all creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now within this larger essence there are differences among creatures of Allah. But those differences are contingent, they are not essential. The essential difference is that we are creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this sense, I'm emphasizing this sense, Islam and the Quran, as far as I understand it, categorically rejects the superiority of human being or any other being on any other creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first thing to understand. And the second thing is, we know that superiority is a vice. Is a vice. It's not a virtue. It's not among sifat al-jamila. It's among what we call as-sifat al-kabiha. So these are as-sifat al-jamila. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to adorn ourselves with these good characteristics. And then there are sifat al-sayya or al-khasail ghair hamida. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us to get rid of them. And superiority is among superiority, or takabbur is a form of superiority. Because superiority, actually, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves superiority. So, considering yourself superior is a vice. So, saying that human being is superior to nature is claiming something which is vicious in a sense. Now, people have this strange, misconception or strange confusion, where they think that something which is vice for an individual to claim might be good when it is claimed for community or a nation or a species. But this is totally wrong conception. That's why people generally who are humble in their self, but when they talk about their nation, they don't think even twice about expressing superiority over others, etc., of their nation. But there's no difference between takabbur, individual takabbur, or takabbur through your nation, or takabbur through your species, or takabbur through your sex, your community, etc. They are all forms of takabbur, and they are all forms of vices, and we should get rid of those vices. So to claim that human beings are superior to other creatures is also a form of superiority, which is something which is considered a vice as well. So to claim human superiority as a species is wrong as well. The last thing in this respect is some people think that the Quranic and Islamic conception of fadila, fadl, and a lot of people Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors certain creatures of his with things which he hadn't honored certain other creatures with. A lot of people translate this as superiority. But this is, I think it is wrong to translate as superiority, because honor is a bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But part of considering, and we honor those creatures Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored, not in the sense that they are superior in the word, which in the sense in which we use the word superior in English language. We honor someone, recognition of that honor is recognizing something which is factual, something, and honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like honoring an old graybeard Muslim is honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because Allah has honored him. Or honoring the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his tribe is honoring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and recognizing his bounty on them, a special bounty which he bestowed bounties on other people as well, but this is a special bounty and we recognize it, and we don't begrudge them that, because one of the things not recognizing the honor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed on other creatures or other communities is a form of hasad, a form of covetousness, which is a vice in itself. So honor is not something superiority. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored human beings with certain characteristics and certain bounties which he hasn't honored other creatures. But that doesn't make human beings superior to those other creatures. What that honor consists in is what's special about is that honor in itself is honorable because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored that person with that honor. And that honor for a person is a responsibility as well as honor, and responsibility itself require a form of humility and not superiority. And of course we should recognize that honor, because it is the honor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed on us, but that honor also is a test, a trial. So the honor which differentiates human species from other species is one of the honors, key honor is freedom. But this freedom is a trial in itself. So and not recognizing that it is a trial and understanding it or thinking that it is a superiority, Quran actually says that this is an act of ignorance, considering that responsibility and that trial as some sort of superiority. So this is my basic understanding of whether human beings are superior to other creatures or not. But obviously Allama Iqbal is more in tune with, in this discussion anyway, with the early modernist conception of human being as the Lord of this universe. Okay, let's go back to the text. So, and how do we find him in his environment, a restless being, engrossed in his ideals to the point of forgetting everything else, capable of inflicting pain on himself in his ceaseless quest for fresh self-expression. With all his failings, he is superior to nature. So that's the modernist conception. That's not a Quranic conception, superiority, as we just saw. In as much as he carries within him a great trust. Yes, that great trust is the trust of freedom, and that trust is a trial. But Allama Iqbal is understanding this trust, this amana, differently here. He's thinking of this trust as the trust to act as God's representative on the earth, and act like a God in this earth over other creatures, which is a modernist conception. So in as much as he carries within him a great trust, which in the words of the Quran, the heavens and the earth and mountains refuse to carry. So that's the part of the verse which I was referring to before, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that human beings are jahul, ignorant, because of and there's zalum, that they are unjust to themselves, because they consider what is a trial as something which makes them superior. Anyway, we'll look at this inshallah next time. So we'll stop here for today. Thank you.